I talked about it a little bit about the last video, in the anxiety of not knowing like if I'm on the right path or not. This video is kind of like peeling back what it actually is like building an online business while being a working professional, so that everybody kind of sees the reality of what building an online business actually is like versus the Instagram guys that are just making TikToks talking about selling a course, da 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 da. So I've started to grow a real disdain for those people. I get it. They're making a lot of money. That's like, sell people on the idea that you can make money really quickly and you could probably make a lot of money. Like, hey, not knocking the hustle, but I see what you're doing and it doesn't fool me. But anyways, from the sense of like what it's actually like in the reality of what it is to build an online business, I have notes here, obviously using my AI assistant of the day, Claude. I have Claude and ChatGPT. I use them all the time, talk to them frequently. If you're not using AI today, you are behind the 8 ball. Use it to your advantage, outsource your thinking. Anyways, so the initial idea of my first website, Grappler's Graveyard, again, came to me when I knew that I wanted to start an online business. I had just started this new hobby in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I fell in love with it. I was going, I think 4 to 5 times a week. At that point, maybe 6, a couple times a day. And no, I was definitely going 4 to 5 because like I was still working full time and being able to go. That whole first year was, when I look back at it, it was just a mistake after mistake after mistake. So I originally started it, jumped on Namecheap, bought the domain that I had with the idea, grabbed the socials for all relevant platforms, and then went to WordPress.com and started building a website. I vividly remember that my website that I built was so bad. Like, I think I can go back on the Wayback Machine and look at it, but I'm not even sure I want to do that because it was just so bad. It was clunky, it didn't look good, it didn't have any matching colors. But the biggest thing that I commend that version of myself is that I didn't care. I let it be shitty, I let it be what it is, and then I just got to work, right? Like, at the time, I'm learning, I'm reading content from the mentor that I found on the internet that's actually teaching me this stuff. He writes a great Substack. If you guys are interested in learning from that same individual, I'll link them below in the description. But nonetheless, like, I started learning. I'm paying for his resource to be able to learn. It's about like $10 a month, so it's nothing crazy. But I started writing content. I got Ahrefs, which is a software that allows me to see Google traffic and understand like what people are actually searching about my niche. I remember vividly like sitting on my laptop and going through, you're allotted like 500 queries on Ahrefs at the starter tier, and I went through 398 on the first night that I got it because I was so infatuated with the data that was coming my way and being like, whoa, this whole world existed, I had no idea. So the first 90 days, I would say, of having my website, I put out 90 pieces of content. Every single day, something was being written. My roommates can attest to this at the time. I'd be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, writing from 5:30 to 7:30 every single day before going to work at 8 o'clock. I was working at home from time, so it was really easy for me to just like lean over, log on, and then go to work. But yeah, every day I was writing content, wasn't making any money. And what I realized is that if you are starting a blog or a website in general, the first thing that you should do is obviously get WordPress, build on WordPress. WordPress is the most versatile content management system that anybody could be using if you're building a legitimate website. Outside of like Shopify, if you're building an e-commerce site, right? Like that makes sense, but don't use Squarespace, don't use the other platforms, they all suck compared to WordPress and the versatility that you get from WordPress. All those sites, all the major websites in the world are built on WordPress. This is not a sponsored post. I just love WordPress. The first thing that you should do when you have a WordPress site is, this is going to be jargon that you may not know, but get your sitemap, upload it into Google, and make sure that Google recognizes your website as an actual website that's creating content. What I didn't do when I was the first 90 days in was writing a bunch of content that wasn't even ranking on Google. I had no idea that I had to submit the content to Google to be ranked to even begin with. So, that's where I was. I think in the first 100 days, don't quote me on that, I made my first $1. I remember getting paid, and it was like this sweet feeling that I had. I think somewhere on my desk around here, in one of the places, I had actually like gone to the bank and took out $1, and like that is my first. I have my first $1 that I made online somewhere on my desk, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, like the whole first year was spent trying to understand content, trying to understand what ranked. Actually, I would say the first 6 months. At 6 months, I started to get an idea. Once I had to resubmit everything to Google, I started seeing traffic go up. But then in 2024, something crazy happened in the world of SEO. It's that helpful content update. Most of you guys might not know what this is, but it absolutely decimated so many websites, and myself included. All the work that I had spent the first year and a half on the website, gone to shit. Literally overnight. An algorithmic update that targeted smaller websites, and I just kind of got caught in the crossfire because I wasn't building authority from day one, which I should have done. That is a mistake on my part. I will own up to that. But yeah, that was tough, because right when that happened, a lot of things went on in life. I had gotten fired from my job. My dog had died. My content site has just completely decimated off the internet. I had no other choice. If I had the chance in front of me at that moment was to quit. Like, I didn't know what to do. It was the first time that something like that was happening to me. And most people probably would have quit. I am not a quitter. Like, I told myself that from when I started the website. I was not going to quit until I saw the mission through. But it was very easy at that moment, looking back at it, to have been like throwing in the towel and then just calling quits. But what I did instead was pivot, started focusing more on social media platforms, building a YouTube channel that has now since grown to about 600 subscribers. Still really small, but like 600 people in a room, if you Google that, like that's a lot of fucking people. So grateful for that worked out in that sense. And then I built a lot of Reddit, like subreddits, and started utilizing Reddit and figuring out different ways to rank on Google. And now, all year 2 was pretty much spent honing in at that, understanding social, how it ties into the content, how to actually like distribute content in a way that like is fast, efficient, and gets eyeballs on the content that I'm out, so that it could bake in Google's system and start to rank over time. And again, building the authority wherever I can. But now, fast forward to where I am today. This is technically year 3 of when I started the online business. I'm roughly making about $1,000 a month. Not really sure if that's good or bad. Part of me feels like I should be making more, but then again, I do feel like I'm currently like on a path of ascension. I think I'm very, very close to cracking the code on certain keywords and really honing in how I'm landing my links and doing a lot of things. At this stage, like I would definitely consider myself like a one-stripe blue belt in business, if you want to tie it into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu terms. If you don't know what that means, like blue belt is the second stage after being a white belt, where you don't really feel like a beginner, but you still have kind of like your own bearings. So it's a pretty cool place to be in. At the end of the day, it's like there's a lot of stuff that nobody really tells you about online business that's hard. Ranking on Google, ranking drops, updates, killing your traffic, progress, how slow it comes, how fast it comes. It doesn't really, that part of building an online business is not articulated well. And I hope that I kind of did it justice in terms of like what it's actually like to be building online. Because some people have this idea or this fear of technology, and some generations have fear of technology. Some generations just have a fear of committing to the unknown. All of it is scary, but all of it's hard, but you really have to just choose your heart in life, in my personal opinion. Right now, like I'm kind of in this like unsexy grind stage where I'm doing link outreach, creating content as I go, buying gear, reviewing gear, trying to find opportunities to rank on Google, understanding how LLMs and large language models change the game of search, and trying to rank on those platforms as well, not only just Google, because I think that having a healthy content strategy across all different platforms is super important. But all around, like, I'm at a decent place, I think. I think that this year will be better, if not the same as this last year. I'm hoping that it's better. I have a strategy to make it better. It's just all on me to be able to execute, make sure that it pans out the way I want it to. So, hope this helps. If any of you guys are thinking about starting an online business, absolutely do it. I've completely changed as a human being, and both from a maturity standpoint and my own confidence by doing so. And I think it's like super important to be able to do so. Have another source of income outside of a daily job. And if you are starting an online business, don't fucking quit your job before your business is actually making any money. You don't know if it's gonna work. You don't know, like, unless you have like the backing and the financial setup to just jump ship. Like, I'm not in that case. I won't be in that case. I'm not dumb. I think it is dumb to do that and give that advice. I stand firm on that idea that like you should not be doing that or giving that advice, especially if you don't understand people's financial situations. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking and kind of documenting like where my thoughts are about this. Hopefully, like, if the business gets sold in 5-6 years or 3, 4, 5 years, whatever happens, I can look back at this video and be like, damn, like I was right. So it'll be cool looking back on this nonetheless. So I'll catch you guys on the next video where I rant about some random topic that Claude gives me an idea on. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace.